Hi, and welcome to the U World Order Showcase podcast. Today, we are speaking with Tracy Gohrick. Tracy is a healing coach, spiritual mentor, intuitive, and channel. She works with you and your guides to get the best outcome that your soul will allow. She goes into your energy to figure out what is causing the pain and illness and clears it out so that it heals the body and then starts to help you with the mental causes of that illness so you get well and stay well. We're so excited to have you with us, Tracy. Thanks for joining us.
Thank you. I'm so excited to be here.
So, I'd like to know how you got started in this because it's not like something that you come across every day. And I love what you're doing. Love it.
Thank you. Um, I got started, I was thinking about this. I got started at a young age. I realized now when I say this, I don't say I don't go to the doctors or anything like that. I do go to doctors, but at a young age, I felt like there was a better way to handle pain and illness. And as I got a little older and I started having children, I when they got sick and they were sick a lot, I started looking into natural remedies and getting rid of the chemicals in the house so we would live healthier. And then once my youngest started school, I had been home with them and I kind of was in a lower, I won't say depressed, but kind of depressed. And my husband sent me to a healing spa. And it was my first experience as having an energy healing, and it was amazing. And I knew that meant I was like, I'm going home and I'm going to learn this. And I found some teachers and I got certified in a couple of healing modalities, and that's where that's why I'm here now.
That is amazing. Healing, energy healing it's really cutting edge right now.
hmm
Most people don't really understand how it works. I don't understand how it works. I just know that it does work. And I, in some cases, like I know my dad, he had his neck was like, my dad's like 87, but his neck was so stiff from arthritis or something that he couldn't move it. And there was one time he was driving my daughter in a car and he almost got hit. I was in the car in front of him and I watched the whole thing. I was like, oh my cow, the
Wow.
man cannot turn his head. And he didn't see the car coming over the hill. Freaked me out, no doubt.
Yeah.
But he went back home and he found this. Really into Tai Chi, and he found this Tai Chi energy healer who came to their community, and he just moved his hands over my dad's neck and body, never even touched him. But my dad's neck is totally healed just from that one experience. And we're talking like it was almost frozen in position, but now he can bend it and twist it. And it was just, I think that's what they used to call miracles.
Right, right. I know it's amazing what happens with energy healing. It truly is amazing.
So how do you work with people? I mean, how does the whole process work when you're doing it?
So, I can do both online distant healing and in person. And so either way, talk to them at first. See what's going on with them. I find out what's hurting. And then if we're online, I'll go have them lay down and where they can still hear me.
Mhm.
And I just start feeling in their energy. And the same here, I'll talk to them and I'll put them on the table and I'll go through and feel their energy and see what I feel in their energy. Always, I would say 100% of the time, I find stuff in their energy, and it might not even be causing physical issues yet, right? So I go and I remove what I see. Sometimes I'm not supposed to remove it, and I'll get the guidance if I'm supposed to or not.
Mhm.
And I'll remove it, fill in the energy where I remove stuff back with the light so there's no holes in their energy. And then I start looking at the physical body and putting energy into the physical body to help heal. And the energy will go where it's needed, but a lot of time I'll get inspiration or messages on things I need to do. And for example, I worked on my friend recently and her back was really bothering her. And I got to just go in and twist on her back energetically, but I was kind of touching her and it released the knots. And she was great. She could move around and it was amazing. And so then I'll do work on them like that. And then I'll finish up and I'll go walk away for a little bit and then I'll have them meet me if they're here or they come to the screen and I'll ask them if they felt anything, what they noticed, and then I'll tell them what I noticed. I also get a message at the end of the healings for them that helps them along their journey, just a spiritual message that comes through, which always helps people and they really enjoy those messages.
How did you, have you always been able to connect with your spirit guides? Did you learn how to do this? Is this something that everybody's able to do? Is it only certain people?
No, everybody's able to do it. And I was able to do it at a young age, but I shut it off, so I didn't realize it. Because I don't know, we're taught to be scared of that stuff, and so a lot of people get shut down, I think, just because of upbringing. And so they shut it down, but everybody can do it. It's just relearning or opening back up to it again.
Hmm. Well, do you have any tips for helping people do that?
I would for sure, I think because this was my thing is being scared of doing it, you want to protect yourself. And I could go through a little bit of a protection if you want.
Yeah.
Um, so I just imagine the violet flame below my feet and up and around and through my whole body. And then
Mhm.
I bring in down light from God's source, whatever your belief is, down to the top of my energy. And then it splits apart and goes and meets below my feet. So I'm in a bubble of gold light or white light, whatever it is you feel good. And that's a protection. And then I would just ask for the highest and best information to come to me or guides. And you just want to specify that. So not just anything can come around.
Hmm. Very interesting. And when you're doing this with other people, how do you protect them? Or do you protect them?
Same way, same way. I put it around both of us. And I always cleanse the space before and after and just make sure the vibration's high. You don't want to be angry. Like if I've had a bad day or something and it's something I can't let go of, I won't work on somebody. You just want to be really careful where you're at mentally before
Mhm.
doing anything like that.
So fascinating. So you were talking about you heal people if you're supposed to. So where would situations come up where you're not supposed to?
So sometimes people so plan they're just not supposed to heal. Now, that doesn't mean I can't work with them and give them the best possible for that situation, but sometimes their sole plan was to go through it. Either it was for them to go through it or for them to go through it for somebody else that's around them. So if it's a sole plan, then I can't, um, it's not that I can't work on them and help them. I can. It's just, it might not have the outcome that they want or expect.
That has to do with soul contracts before we come back here
Exactly.
to, because we come here with an intention. We talk about intentions kind of like haphazardly, but I, I I really do agree that we have an intention before we're born, and it's our journey through life to fulfill that plan. And it kind of unwinds in interesting ways as we go through it. And once you get like the idea that this is actually your life is unfolding the way it's supposed to, it's happening for you, not to you. It
Exactly.
makes all of the things that we might consider not all that great that happen in our lives understandable. It's like, okay, I can look at it for the lesson that I'm trying to ultimately teach myself,
Mhm.
because we came up with the plan. It's not like
Right.
somebody else said you have to go and do this, or you have to go and go through this experience. So it helps you to look at other people differently too. I, you know
Exactly. And I like how you said experience because My personal opinion is we come down to have these experiences. I don't believe it's like a lesson. I believe we come here because we want the experiences. And that's again my opinion, but that's why I like that you said experience it, because I think we do come down sometimes, as crazy as it is that you would think you'd want to experience these things. I do believe we do.
I think it's even a little bit more stronger than that, in that I think we're all a part of God,
Hmm.
energy, the source. We are all definitely connected, but I think it experiences through us. And when we agree to these soul contracts, it's not like we're just these entities that are all on our own. We're connected to other things, other spirits, other
Yes.
energies, and it's in the connections that source, God, the universe gets to have these experiences and interacting with others, so that there's can be surprise um and unexpected outcomes. Because if you look at it and in terms of source being all knowing and omniscient and omnipresent, it it is, and then again it isn't.
Hmm.
It's the way for it to step back and have
Exactly.
experiences without actually having to orchestrate it. It can be surprised. It's like,
Yeah.
oh, that happened.
Yes.
How interesting. And it's like there, it takes away the good and the bad of anything that happens in the world.
Yes.
Even the horrible things,
Hmm.
as bad as they may seem to us in the present day, and how shocking some things can be to us as we perceive them right now, at different times in history those same things were just like, that's the way it was.
Yeah.
And in the future it could be totally different, because as energy source, I think it does evolve to some extent, and it gets to experience different things. Other things come into the picture. I don't know. I'm
No,
way
that's
off on the
no, no, I totally
field for
agree.
me, like doing their energy healing and stuff. But it's I think it's all connected. And
It
when
is.
you start healing people and working in their energy, you're actually connecting to source on a different level.
Yeah. And
Spiritual
every
encounter.
everything you just said connects with the healing.
Yeah, exactly. So obviously we were like talking about energy and stuff, and then we must have like disturbed the energy in the vortex, because Tracy just disappeared. But
Yes.
thankfully she's back.
Yes.
So we were talking about energy and healing, and how it moves in and out of the universe, and how it is almost a spiritual kind of encounter when you heal people.
Yes. Because what we were saying, we were talking about how it's all connected, how we have these situations come up, and these are things that we asked for. I can give you a recent example of somebody. They had a medical issue that had happened, and it made them they had to have surgery, and really threw them off. And what came out of it was they needed to start taking care of themselves. And from me, the way I was looking at it, what I could see is their soul set that up to happen, so they would realize they needed to start doing things differently in their life. And so a lot of times, when we say soul plan, I said when I can't necessarily do stuff, it's because stuff needs things like that need to happen, so they straighten up, I guess, in some words. Now we have free will, so we don't always have to, but our souls know what we're going to need, and they set up things for to happen if they see us going down this path. when we have things we need to do, so we need to get better and healthier.
Yeah. Uh, and and you have free will, so sometimes it takes 2 or 3 tries to get
Exactly.
irritated. We're also stubborn beings.
Yes, exactly.
And sometimes it's hard just to break habits. We get into habits because of the situations that we start out in that may have been intended to push us in one direction, but it actually pushed us in a different direction, which is, the again, the element of surprise and interesting experiences that come along, and how we react to the situation might not be the way that we thought we would react to it when we made the contract in the beginning. And so we have different experiences to help us, like, nudge us back that way, I think is
Right,
what you're talking about.
right.
So what do what would you say is the the thing that people would experience, would like your ideal clients? How would they know that they're your people?
If they have if they're just struggling in life and they're having pain and illness and anxiety, a lot of times, and I did at first, I was really working with clients that they were undiagnosed, but I mean, there's a lot of people that are undiagnosed because doctors can't see energetically what's going on. And you find somebody like me who's an energy healer who can see in the energy, and we can see what's going on. And then also there is, and we've talked about it earlier on, the mental causes.
Mm,
In a lot of times you're going to have the mental causes and it shows up in your energy, but it's not physical, but you can feel it physical still. So it's people struggling and not really having answers and knowing what to do would be my ideal client.
what kind of mental things would cause physical things?
Every mental thing will cause physical things. For example, this I always use this one because I remember it easily. When you have anger, it can affect your liver. So what happens is you have the anger, it weakens that area of your body, and then things can affect it more easily.
Hmm. I always heard that lungs and grief go together.
Yes.
And I had an experience with that when my mom died.
Mhm.
I got pneumonia
Mhm.
really bad. Like, I was in the hospital. It was so bad. And I had all this trauma and life experiences that were wrapped up in her and who she was. And um, so yeah, I totally get that. It was
Yes.
definitely a mental thing. And the weird thing is, I kind of knew at the time when I was so sick that it was all related to that. And
Yes.
yeah, it's,
And that's what's the beauty of our bodies, is our bodies are going to tell us where we need to work on things. And that's what happens with all the pain and illness. They say it's like 99%. I've seen with my clients it's 100% where it ties back any of your pain, illness, anxiety, whatever. It's tied back to some mental cause, whether it's anger, grief. And that goes back to the trauma, which you have to get into and look at also, because your trauma is what's caused all of that. And so it's all connected and you got to work on all of it. But the pain and illness is just a symptom, really.
yeah, it is definitely. I was talking to somebody else who is also an energy healer, and he's like, it almost has its own personality or own soul, the disease part. Um, what do you think about genetic issues?
Um, I honestly don't think much about genetic issues because even if they're there, we can overcome them. We can overcome all of that. I don't know if have you heard of Joe Dispenza?
Mhm.
I love his stuff, and he says epigenetics, we can overcome everything, even if it is genetically there. My opinion on the genetics is that you have the genetics and that will make that part weaker in your body, but that
Mhm.
does not guarantee you're going to get it. Um, Different things, right? Say, for example,
Just,
cancer.
I was thinking more along the lines of birth defects.
Ooh, the only thing that comes to mind for me on that one, it would be your soul plan. Interestingly enough, and I have these different books. I have them right here if you want to see them.
Sure.
The Secret Language of the Body. It will
Mhm.
have certain things that are birth defects in here, like, or that's genetically carried over. And I always thought, well, but you're coming in that way. My thought is it's probably a past life that you're having to overcome those things because they still they match up to the mental causes, even on the person who was born with it. Because we will carry stuff over from past lives that we need to work through here. And so that's where it would tie in my opinion, from my perspective.
Interesting. I have a son he was born with glaucoma in one eye. Um, and he's blind in that eye now. It has never really affected him. Most people don't even realize he's blind in that eye, which is both good and bad. It causes
Hmm.
problems. He's identified with it though. Our last name is Hart, and the one-eyed Jack is of the heart
Yeah.
thing. So it it's been interesting to watch him in life. Um, and how it's impacted him. There are other people that have had, some pretty interesting birth defects, and it's interesting to watch them overcome them, how their families react to them, the impact that they have on those around them. I used to think that it was a terrible, horrible thing, but I don't really look at it that way anymore. It's just a thing that happens. And again, it's source getting an opportunity to have experiences in different, if we were all the same, where would the interest be for it?
Right.
You know?
Right.
Um, and what are your thoughts on, illnesses that are brought on by environmental or chemical poisoning?
So I still feel the same on that too. It would be mental because it goes when you have the mental cause, it weakens that part in your body.
Mhm.
Now, there can be different mental causes for different parts of the body. So the anger in the liver could be show somewhere else. I don't know off the top of my head, but it could show up somewhere else. So having that anger weakens your body. So if you're strong mentally, which all of us need to work at it. It's a constant thing that we're going to have to work on because we're in this realm here
Mhm.
that's causing us the issues mentally. It is. It's just it's being here, but we wanted the experience. So we're constantly working on that. But with them putting the stuff or the environmental causes in the cleaners, even the makeup and all of that, that part in our body is weakened from the mental, those things will go and sit there and cause the cancer or whatever because it's weakened from the mental cause. Does that make sense on how I explained it?
It does. Do you think you're able to heal it often?
Oh, we can heal everything. If we were meant to heal, we can heal everything. We can overcome everything. Those things don't have to affect us. We are very powerful beings. Our mind is very powerful. What's
Oh yeah.
happened is though it's been manipulated. And so we don't know that we're powerful. And because we don't know we're powerful, we're being powerful in the wrong ways sometimes with manifesting more illness?
Oh yeah, that's really easy to do.
Mm-hmm.
Think about
Yes.
how much you want to spend time alone, and you'll get sick and get to spend time alone.
Yep. Exactly. Exactly. I don't think people understand how that happens, but it does. I see it. I've seen it with myself. I've done it to myself.
I know. I've done it to myself too. Just like, oh yeah. And then I find myself appreciating it.
Yeah.
I'm just going to lay here and be sick and miserable, and I'm going to
Yes,
enjoy it. I'm all by myself. I have an excuse to not do anything.
exactly. I felt the exact same way at times. I'm like, okay, I'm just gonna let this roll for right now because
And
this
then
is what I need.
it's what you need. And then, after a couple days, you're just like, okay, I'm over this. I'm going to get better.
Yep.
And in a couple days, you're better
Yep.
because that's how our minds work. We're
Mhm.
just, and you talked about Joe Dispenza and he's got so much research behind what he
I
says.
know.
And it's just like, you think about something, you put yourself in that position in your mind, you create what you want and you put it there and it will happen. And the
Yes.
more emotion you can feel about the experience that you're having in your head, the more real that is going to be when it happens, and it will happen. It's just like it's a done deal.
Yes.
you've you just keep feeling that feeling, and then suddenly you're feeling that feeling because you're experiencing that experience. It's
It's amazing actually, like, when you look at it and yeah, it's amazing.
and it's not like just one or two people, it's like hundreds and hundreds, probably
Mhm.
thousands of people at this point that
Mhm.
he's recorded the data that says this, you do this, this will
Yes.
happen.
He's literally had people walk that were in wheelchairs at his retreats. I mean, in
Yeah,
his own story, he broke his back.
yeah,
He
yeah,
totally he healed himself.
yeah.
It's amazing.
It is amazing. But you can't just show up at his retreats. I
No.
mean, there's a litany of things you have to go through to reach the level where those kinds of experiences are possible for you.
Mhm.
They're not like tent revival things where
Right.
it's all hokey. And again, he records everything. He records your a bunch of markers about what's going on. He takes your blood and they hook up electronics. And I mean, it's a science experiment. And
Yeah,
it's not like hocus pocus woo woo stuff. And I like to
exactly.
call it the woo, but it really is science. It's
Right.
cutting edge science that people are just now starting to understand mainstream, that it's so many things are possible
Right.
outside of just what is dispensed from medical institutions,
Right. I
which
mean, and
are
honestly, that is the science. What we're shown is not the science. That really is the
it's
science.
chemistry.
Mhm.
What they're passing off is just how to use chemistry to adjust symptoms in our body, which is really honestly bad because those symptoms are there to help you recognize that there's something energetically that needs to change in you. And if it doesn't change, it's going to have probably devastating effects on you.
Mhm. Which ties back to the mental. I mean, it's all tied. It starts with the mental, it goes the trauma, the mental, and then it shows up physical. You're in that when it gets to physical, then you really got to start looking at what are you doing in your
Mhm,
life? Are you just sitting there angry and mad? Which I'm not saying it's not, you weren't supposed to be there because of what's happened to you. But if you want to continue to hold on to that, you're not going to get better and it will get worse. But that's
mhm.
the beauty of our body, that it's showing us what we need to do.
Yeah. And I think cancer is a big, big part of cancer is that people are holding on to things and they might go and get medications for it to soothe symptoms, but it's definitely a part of what's going on in your head.
Yes, definitely.
So you offer people, I know you have a podcast. Did we talk about your podcast yet?
No, we didn't talk yet. Yes, I have a
We should
podcast.
talk about your podcast a little bit.
Okay, yeah.
What's the name of it? Where can people
Tracy
listen?
Tracy Gohrick, Light, Hope, and Healing, and you can listen on any platform.
Okay. And what do you talk about?
I just on my podcast, I give them tips and ideas, or I talk about examples of things that I've seen in my life and people around me. And so it connects people because they can see that this has happened with somebody, and then I show them how we can work through it and overcome it. And just giving them tips and ideas on how to, understand, like, you're in pain and illness because of your trauma and your mental and the anger or whatever. And so I talk about, all those topics. And most of the time I have examples of what's happened because that's what gives me the ideas of the topics. So,
That's cool. So, how can people get in touch with you and work with you?
so you can contact me on my website. There's a contact form, or tracy@tracygorick.com. Anyways, like that way, just email me and you can reach out that way to get in contact with me.
Perfect. And we'll be sure and put the links in the show notes so people can get in touch with you. Anything you want to leave the audience with before we go?
The one thing that I would love to leave the audience with is when you can feel yourself at peace, that's when you know where you're supposed to be. And when you don't feel at peace, that's when you're out of alignment of where your mind and body and soul is wanting to go. And the more you really start paying attention to that feeling of peace, you know immediately when you're out of it, and it's easier to get yourself back. So it's about paying attention to how you're feeling. And I think so often we forget that. And that's one thing that I've worked on to get to where I'm at in this space now. And it is a constant journey. You're never not going to be pulled out of peace just because of where we're at. But that's the one thing you to strive for, is to have that feeling of peace.
Yes. And it can be fleeting in the beginning, but the more you practice, the more often you find yourself in it.
Yes, definitely.
Thank you so much for joining me today, Tracy. This has been amazing.
Thank you for having me. I really appreciate it.